do not panic. I did not forget about you last week. There just wasn't a great deal of content. So here we are this week with a double bumper episode of Coastal News Podcast. Let's get through this jam-packed recording of all the latest drama from the Bay. It's your favourite home and away podcast. Hello, this is Coastal News, an unofficial home and away podcast where we dissect the latest week's episodes and discuss the happenings and residents of our favourite fictional town, Summer Bay. Right, let's get to it. Lots to cover, as I've mentioned. So, Chloe and Ryder, when we picked up on the last podcast, they'd started secretly using the diner kitchen and this weird takeaway setup where people order food in the middle of the night to be delivered in the morning. Don't quite understand it. Not going to ask too many questions because it doesn't make sense. We'll just roll with it, shall we? So they have been using the diner and doing all these orders, not sleeping a wink, and it's been taking its toll, I think, on those two. And actually, we found out that Leah starts to get suspicious when she does that stock take, doesn't she? And she notices loads of spices and rice missing. I hadn't actually quite realised they were actually using stuff from the diner as well. Up until that point, we were seeing them get deliveries of food, weren't we, and sneaking them in and stuff. So they have actually been stealing, which just adds to my ever-increasing feelings towards Chloe. Oh, God, I can't stand her. So add thief to the list of many things we can call her. I know out there, some people will love her. Good for you. But... you know, like most new characters, I always give them time to warm up, but it's just never happened with her. Never happened. So now she's got Ryder involved in this whole, not only, using and stealing all the food and stuff, but sneaking around behind all, Irene and Leah's and Mazzy's back. And as I said last time, why don't you just ask? They probably would help you out. As it turns out, when Leah actually catches them, and it all comes out, unexpectedly they do just muck in and help, and come to some business arrangement that they can rent the space in the evening. So you could have just asked anyway, and probably they would have done it for you and helped you. You know what I mean? Complete waste of time. I did find, because obviously Irene's not about at the moment, she's away on holiday, so Leah just sort of mentioned, I've phoned Irene and she's fine with it, like hell she was fine with it, do you know what I mean? But there we go. That's just the way things go sometimes. So they're now using the space legitimately and the business is going to take off. What I want to know is why, if that was legitimate, why didn't the diner just do that anyway? The diner could run like a takeaway delivery service, like make a killing. But there we go. Modern day life and all that. But anyway, this way everyone's happy. Ryder and Chloe's business up running. Maz and Alf will probably get their money back eventually because it looks like it's dead successful and busy and can only go and get better over time. I love how Mac and Logan are getting on. This whole will they, won't they, cheeky chappy routine is really good to watch. I catch myself smiling watching it. I quite like the slow burn, the resistance of the flirtation. I really like it. Logan has been such a fantastic addition to the show. I think his personality is so sarcastic, and he's sort of ruffling people's feathers enough not to be causing enemies at this point. And I think he's walking that tightrope, isn't he? So he's fast. He's just come in and he's fast become one of my favourite characters, actually. So I'm hoping he's sticking around quite a lot because I'm quite enjoying watching him, and he and Mac have got this really good thing going on. I wonder if Mac's history with Tane will come to the surface at some point, and whether she'll try and keep that down below the surface, or whether she'll be upfront and say I had the hots for him, or I don't know. We need to learn a little bit more about Logan as well. We know he's ex-army, he's been in Afghanistan, he's probably seen some stuff, right? So there's probably a lot of story there for us to unpack for him. So he's going to be a really good complex character in the long run, I reckon. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those unfold and maybe learning more about Logan as we go as well. I think Logan is looking like he's perhaps being, lined up to be Tori's replacement, maybe, because Tori and Christian, as we've seen, are starting to talk about moving overseas. They're talking about the wedding and their honeymoon, and end up settling on this mad sort of, it came out of nowhere, I thought, this idea of moving to London and working in hospitals in London. Now, as we know, there's no pandemic in Summer Bay, but the hospitals over here are absolutely crying out for doctors, and I don't quite know whether I would leave Northern Districts to come and work in the NHS. There can't be a lot of money in that. but we're now learning that Tori's got this big dream. London's the city, the theatre, the culture, the history, and definitely sort of talked himself into that fairy tale, haven't they, of living in London, and being happily ever after, and it's Tori's one of my favourite characters of all time, I would say, actually. So much has gone down in the 5 or so years. Is it 5 or 6 years now they've been on the screen, the Morgans, when they arrived? She'll be missed if she moves overseas. She really will. I hope it's not like a permanent thing. Maybe she'll come back, without Christian at some point in the future, and we find out loads of stuff has gone on between them two off screen. I don't know. I'm starting to write future episodes here, but I don't know. I feel like Tori's a long stayer, right? Fair income if the actress wants to go on to new stuff, but she will be sorely missed. So Logan looks like he might end up being her replacement. She took her a little while, didn't it, to come round to the idea, should I say, with Christian and that sort of, it was just all a bit too out there for her. I can't leave my family, I can't leave the babe. We've finally, all these years being in witness protection, having to move around all the time, we've finally got somewhere where we're happy as a family and we've settled down and whatnot, and Grace to think about. But it doesn't take long to change your mind, like I say, and get enthralled in that, that fairy tale of moving overseas. So Logan will be the new doc in town, I reckon. It was quite funny, actually, wasn't it? She really didn't want to tell Justin, did she? She was putting it off, and Christian sort of forced her into this situation of having this conversation and telling Justin that she's applied for a job in London, and he takes it completely well, not what she was expecting. But we know from what he says to Leah, he's sort of said, "Oh yeah, crack on, good luck," sort of thing, knowing, probably in the back of his mind, thinking, she's not going to move, she's not going to do it, she's not going to what are the chances of her getting it, that kind of thing. So I feel it's not quite registered with Justin that they're serious about it, and you can't really blame him, it came out of nowhere, but I imagine we're going down an exit storyline here. They're gonna move off to London. Sad, so sad. So the exhibition plans got a bit kibosh, didn't they? Martha found out from the venue that Bella had organised through contacts that there is no venue now for the charity exhibition, for the mental health charity. Martha's struggle with Martha, because her and Alf are just constantly dipping in and out. Like we don't really, like, what was the reason for bringing her back from the dead, really? Like, really do struggle to get on board with these because, and I feel like it's because they're not here enough, and we're not seeing enough of it. They're just constantly zipping away for a month and back for a couple of episodes and then zipping away again. And that's not helping things. So it's nice to actually have Martha around and getting stuck in with things. Her and Rue are sort of full steam ahead organising this. Bella, bless her, would have been so good for Bella to get on board with this, but she's just not ready with the whole Nick breakup, is she? And I think eventually she'll come back to the lens. You know, she will find a way back properly. You know, and realise that she, you know, she's talented, and that's hers. You know, that's her talent and her future. That involves the photography. But in the so she's not involved in the exhibition, but that's fine. So Ryder ends up involved anyway, and we sort of go all 21st century and get the exhibition online. It's like an online auction now for. Did you see Alf's portrait? Oh, it was funny. Who's bid on that, by the way? Which one of you was it, listeners? Who bid on Alf's portrait? Own up for it. So hopefully it's a success, and they raise loads of money for the mental health charity. Really good awareness storyline there. Al's feeling a bit put out, isn't he? He's trying to organise time with Martha. He organised that picnic on the Blacksland, and she was too busy running off to the city for meetings with the mental health charity. So Al's gradually, more and more as time goes on throughout this, he's feeling a bit more pushed out and a bit more unwanted. Which is nice actually, rather than just seeing him ordering coffee all the time. You know, the old Galah does have some feelings, and I don't know. I just hope it doesn't end up coming between them. You know, he wants to get on board, doesn't he? He's not a complete monster, but you know, he's feeling pushed out. Hopefully they work that out, and it's all a big roaring success, and Alf's not feeling too unwanted and unloved. Very quick reminder now, please do like, subscribe, or save this podcast on your favourite podcast app, whatever you need to do to make sure you're notified when I publish future episodes. It really helps you not miss any action, but also, you know, by sharing it and things like that and subscribing, it just helps grow the podcast week on week, you know, and helps us reach more like-minded home and away fans such as yourself. Thank you for your support. Well, we briefly touched on Bella and Nick as part of that story, but there is obviously the Nick and Bella breakup issue. Finally, they've sorted it out. Woo. Insert laugh, clap trap. You know, clap. They finally got their act together, and they're back together, much to Ryder's dismay. Ryder's not on board, is he? I don't know what's going on with Ryder, honestly. Just leave him to none of your business. I mean, you need to keep your eye on your own missus, mate, because she's a nightmare. But at the very least, we're going to have peace restored with the fact that Bella and Nick have decided to give things a go. And news soon spreads around town, doesn't it, that they're back together, and everyone seems happy. Ryder does come round in the end, you know, and they all have a game of pool and crack on. So hopefully that's the end of that long, drawn-out breakup. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there's more drama on the horizon for those two? Probably. You know, hopefully it's a shoe-on for Bella to get back into her photography. Bella had a really good scene with Rue, where Rue was telling her, you know, that's your thing, you know, you need to move on. You can't let this thing get you down for the rest of your life. You know, get back on the saddle with the camera and everything and the photography. So I thought she was getting through to her for a while there, and obviously it did result in her reluctantly taking pictures for the online auction. But yeah, I thought Rue had a breakthrough with her, you know, and I think, isn't it giving a right message? I'm going to go a bit sort of political here, but is it giving a right message to viewers, to young girls who watch the show, who, you know, is it telling them that you can only be successful and pursue your dreams and your aspirations with a man, you know? I guess what I'm trying to say, is it teaching young females to be independent and I don't know. I don't know. It's heartbreak at the end of the day, and everybody goes through it. But it is just something to think about, I think. Now, speaking of heartbreak, Mia and Ari, lots of it lately, as we know for obvious reasons. And Mia has now decided that she wants to adopt, and Ari is completely on board. And I love this story. I love adoption and fostering. It's part of the fabric of Summer Bay, right? So Mia wants to adopt. Ari's on board. The problem is the application's going to have lots of issues with it because of his criminal past. We know he was in the slammer for armed robbery for a decade, so they're not just going to let him adopt easily. They had that weird meeting with John, who sort of told him, you need to put your mind to it. Anything's possible. It's all the hard work is worth the reward, and everything looked quite good until obviously they realised the criminal record check would be a massive problem, and it all sort of. We don't really get any further, we don't get a move on from that stumbling block until Jasmine offers to sell the gym. Jasmine's selling the gym. So she offers to sell it to Mia and Ari, and it'd be a good evidence to them. It would sort out their money issues. It would clearly show on their application that they have steady income and they're good citizens and they're business owners and they're part of the community, a big part of the community. So makes sense and sounds perfect on paper, except for they need the cash. And as we keep being told, Ari is in and out of work all the time. He's not got steady work on the construction site. What are they constructing, by the way? Where is this place? What are they doing? You know what I mean? It just sort of disappears with yellow overalls on. Orange overalls on every now and then. What are they constructing? What are they constructing? I'd be interested to know. Anyway, but there's never any, sometimes they're stood down, aren't they? And there's not really steady cash from it. So it's been a problem for them. And we then see, fast forward a couple of days, Mia at this lockup, this storage unit place with a big wad of cash. Turns out she kept the cash from the armed robbery 10 years before. So there's this hot cash in the lockup, and they need cash to buy the gym to be able to get the adoption. So Mia, in her infinite wisdom, decides to go and put the deposit down without telling Ari, and then it all unravels that she's got the cash. So we're learning snippets of their history together. When he went in down, the cash was given to her for the future, and her argument is, I'm using it for the future now. But Ari doesn't want a bar of it, does he? He's done his time. He doesn't want to get involved with the cash again, the stolen cash. I don't understand though. If he gave it to her, one, why have they struggled for money all the time since? And two, when he came out of prison and he saw and Mia first turned up again and they were rekindling what they had, did he not think to say to her, what did you do with the money? Like, did you do something with it? Did you get rid of it? Did you spend it? Did you put it away? I don't, surely that conversation was something you would have, right? I would think so. So that bit doesn't make sense to me. I think this is a little bit. There's a few holes in their back history, and there's a few. I think we've got to go along with it a little bit with this one. I think, but we do see that Ari, looking reluctant, agrees to continue with the sale, but I think there's going to be problems here. How are they going to pay for it in cash? Jasmine's going to know something's wrong. Like, how are they going to get this cash paid for the gym without it being flagged up? Ex-con, gone down for armed robbery, there's missing cash from years ago. How is he going to be able to then go and buy a gym with cash without it raising any flags? I think it's going to be very difficult, and I don't know if they've thought this plan through enough. Ari's not convinced either. It's written all over his face. Mia's, again, I think she's got her eye on the prize, and she's just thinking she'll do anything to adopt and have a child with Ari. but I don't think the details have been thought through. I hope those things are explained, because for me to get on board with this story, I'm going to need those details explained to me. And teen tearaway Theo crashes into the bay, or skids into the bay, should I say. Dimitri's son, nephew of Leah. Justin's not happy, is he? He looks like a right character, is one word of saying it. Not going down well with you, like I can see on Twitter. So he looks like a troubled... We're going to get, troubled teen redemption story coming, I'm sure. Will Leah and Justin take him under his wing? Is he going to be here long term? Why has he come to the bay? Why after all these years has he come to Leah? What's going on there? There's obviously some money because of the car he's driving, so he's a bit spoiled brat. What's he doing here? And what trouble will he cause, and what's going to go on from here? He's going to cause issues with the young guns, I reckon. Getting in with the young crowd. So let's see what goes on there. We don't really know much about him other than that he's had a falling out with Dimitri and he's fled to Leah's, and Justin's not that keen on him. And can you blame him? He's a bit of a... That's all we've got time for today. Thank you for listening to this bumper issue, covering all the drama from the past 2 weeks. I appreciate your patience. Sorry there was no episode last week. There just wasn't enough content, right? It was a slow week in the bay. Do keep in touch though. Still watching live every day, and we'll be tweeting along to the action as it unfolds on Twitter. That's at Coastal News Pod, and on the hashtag Home and Away. We're on Instagram as well at Coastal News Pod. I will see you next time for another podcast episode, unpacking everything from the bay. See you then. Bye bye.